It's Yvonne from the Fabric Hut. Hey, another orphan block idea today, because I know we all have those orphan blocks. This block and this block were from a block exchange I had years ago, and I never put them into a quilt. Don't know where the rest of them are, but I loved them, and I thought, you know what? These would make great 16-inch pillows for the holidays. And they came from two separate people, but they actually used the same fabric. The greens are a little different. So I went into my stash and found a green that I liked that matched them. And I turned them into a pillowcase. So I'm going to show you how to do this pillowcase, which is so easy to turn orphan blocks into pillows. Orphan blocks can be so much fun. So these two particular blocks I got years ago in a block exchange. I don't have any of these fabrics in my stash. I thought it was amusing that it had the same basic fabric in it, the same focus fabric, came from two completely different people. The greens are a little bit off from each other, but I want these two both to be a pillow, and I want them to coordinate even though they're slightly different. So they are 12.5-inch blocks right now. I want them to be a 16.5-inch pillow, so I'm going to need to add some things to it. So I don't know about you, but I like when I'm making a pillow top to put some batting behind it. I think it just stabilizes this front a little bit. It helps you not feel the seams so much when you lean against the pillow. I just like it. So I have a piece of batting that is, it's probably 17 by 19. I need it to be 16.5 by 16.5. So this will be plenty good to do that with. So that one is set. However, you know, when I'm doing orphan things, I like to use up scraps. I have these two pieces of batting that neither one of them is quite big enough. So I'm going to make a Franken batting. If you've never heard that term before, it's taking two similar pieces of batting. These are from the same bolt, just a different time, and putting them together. So to do a Franken batting, you're just going to butt the seams up. You're going to set your machine to a zigzag, and I like to set it to a rather wide zigzag. So I'm going to bring mine up quite a bit, and I don't necessarily need them to be too close together, so I'll bring it up a little bit there too. And then you're just going to zigzag them together, being careful not to scrunch them. Just keep them nice and together. You want to make sure you don't have any gaps. And you don't want to stretch. Got to be careful that you're not pushing or pulling and stretching. Now this is sturdy enough to use in a quilt, in a pillow, in whatever you need. It's not going to come apart. You see, I don't even have to sew all that straight. And then, so there is my Franken batting. I've been known to put a whole bunch of pieces together, but there we go. You can, I mean, you know that there's a seam there, but not so much that it's a problem. Yeah, I about unthreaded my machine when I did that. Okay, so now I know it's plenty big enough. So I'm going to take my quilt block, and I'm just going to center it kind of ish. I'm going to put that seam kind of on the center seam of my block if I can, just so that the bulk is all in the same place. Okay, then I'm going to change out this open toe foot for my quilt foot with a guide, which is underneath here, I think. Yep, there it is. And I'm going to just do a Quilt-as-you-go technique here. I'm setting my machine back up for 1/4-inch seam. Can't zigzag with this foot on it. Okay, so I have that in center. So I have prepped these strips, And I chose this one because it has the darker green of this one, and it has a little bit lighter green of this one. So I thought it would go together with both of them. So we're going to just add two 12-inch strips to the sides. There is a right and a wrong side to this fabric. It's not a true batik. There we go. So I'm going to just add a strip to each side, going right through the batting. Now this guide on my machine is kind of snagging my batting a little bit, so I may, after this seam, may change it out to the one without the guide. I'm having to give it a little tug just to keep it from snagging. Okay, so I got through it, but I am going to swap it out for the 1/4-inch foot without the guide. Probably would have been the better idea to start with. Okay, and flip this around and put one on the other side as well. Making sure it's nice and smooth. So this is just a really quick pillow because I don't have to piece the center block. I just have to add a couple spacers. Let's widen this up just a little bit. There we go. And so by adding a 2.5 to each side, that makes this a 16.5-inch block. Right there. And I have, oops, that's the wrong one. I have pre-cut a couple pieces that sides too. So we will just add those on, just like that. And we will be ready with this pillow. Now, this is a great amount of quilting. You don't have to quilt the whole piece with the batting like this. However, I do like to do a little more stabilization. So before I go on, after I have this one on here, before I turn it into a pillow, I will probably go back in and maybe sew around this square. If I really want to get fancy, I could go all the way around all of these. And just, or here and here. I don't know. Depends on how much quilting you want to do, your timeline. This is a quick gift, so if you're in a crunch, you can do the minimal. It's not going to go anywhere. It is a pillow, so it's not like it's going to be pulled every which way like you would on a quilt. You notice I didn't even change from my white thread here on the dark green. I'm just going along. You cannot see it, so it's just fine. I want to see if we can get this whole pillow done in 20 minutes. I think we can. Maybe not. I don't know. Okay. So now we have our front of our pillow the proper size. It is now roughly 16.5 inches square. So that's a good size pillow right there. Yep, 16.5. Okay. I'm going to hit this with an iron, give it a nice press, and I'm going to trim it all up. I'll do this one also, and then we'll come back for the next step. Okay, so I've got them both quilted and trimmed and pressed. I decided to, because I had white thread on the machine, and I'm being just a little bit lazy today, I decided just to quilt it in the white spot so I wouldn't have to change the thread on my machine. So I went around here, went around there, and I went this way around the outside. So that's what it looks like from the back on the quilting. Can you see that? And on this one, I did the same thing, went around the center, around here. And then on this one, I went all the way around that outside white. Now, the white worked even where it's on the red, because if you stay right in the ditch, like this, it's just not even going to show. Now, if you get in a hurry and get out of the ditch, now I'd like to say I did this just to show you guys, but no, I got in a hurry. If you get out of the ditch, you kind of can see it a little bit on top or a little bit over here, but not so bad that it makes a difference in the whole look of the thing. So there we go. We are done. Now, while I was pressing these, I took the back pieces for each one of those. It's a 16.5 inch-ish block. I think one of them 16 1/4. I have a piece that is 16.5 by 12.5. And I pressed under a double fold hem right along the 16.5 inch lengths. Now I did change to green thread because this is going to show on the green, and I'm just going to sew right up that side on all of them. I have 4 of them because there's two pillows. So I'll just sew up the sides. I guess I could have done some of them before I got you back on the screen, but 1, and you can just chain piece right along. They go really, really quickly. There we go. So I call this a pillowcase. No, I call this a overlapped pillowcase. I don't know. There's probably a technical name for it, but that's just what I call it, an overlapped pillowcase. And I like it because you can take it on and off. I like having throw pillows, but I don't like having to store throw pillows. So this way I can make seasonal pillows and use the same forms, because I can pop these off and put the next season on, and only have to store the pillow slip, not the whole pillow. When you sew the pillow into it, then it takes up a whole lot more storage, and I don't have that much storage. So pillow slips it is. There we go. Now I'm sewing on the back. It doesn't matter. You could sew it from the front if you wanted. I just like the back so I can see where my seam is. Okay. There's all 4. Now we are just about done. That is the last hard, I guess, if that you consider that a hard part. So the last tricky spot. Okay, so I'm going to take one of my pillows. I'm going to put it face up on my board. And I'm going to take one of these and I'm going to put it face down on my pillow. Now, you may ask how I determined how big to cut this. It works for any size pillow. I tend to cut it the same width, but 2/3 the length. So because this is a 16.5, I went with a 12.5, which is a little bit more. That's actually 3/4, but you can do it. I like them overlapped enough that they don't tend to poke out. So, and then I'm going to put the other one also right side down on top of that one. Now you can see that on this one, my top is just a little bit smaller than my back. That's okay. We will sew from the other side. It's all right if it's a little bit smaller than your pillow form. It just makes it a little bit fluffier of a pillow. I'm going to put a clip here And here where my two edges, oh, sorry, it wasn't up under the camera. I put them here and here where the two edges of my backing come together, so that I know that it's not going to get flipped. But then because this backing is a little bit bigger than the front, I'm going to flip it over and sew from the front so I can see where I'm at. 1/4 inch, 3/8 of an inch, whatever you like, just so long as it's the same all the way around, doesn't matter. I'm going to do 1/4 of an inch, and I am actually going to sew all the way around. You do not have to leave an opening on this one for turning. Pivot at the corners. There's a little trick you can use when you have batting in a corner and it's kind of thick. To get a nice pointed corner, if you stop, take one stitch at an angle and then turn, it helps that corner fold out better, and you actually can get a little bit better of a point if you find that you're not getting the points that you want. For a pillow, I don't find that it's all that big of a deal if it's not a real sharp point. But some things, it is helpful to do that. Let me show you again. You come up a little bit before your 1/4 of an inch, turn it, angle it 45 degrees, take one stitch, and then go straight. Okay, we're still on this side. When we come back around to where we started, we have to be careful that we don't flip up the edge of the overlap. Here we go. My overlap is right there. Make sure it's not flipped as I sew up to it. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and just trim off this little bit extra. It actually doesn't really matter. You don't have to, but I'm going to. I could take it over and use my rotary cutter, or I can just take the second to do that. Okay, so I'm going to cut off one side, but I'm going to leave the other just so we can see the difference. Trim your corners to get that nice turn on them. See how there's that little stitch that I took at an angle? There we go. On a pillow, you don't want to trim too close because there's often some pressure on it and you don't want to pop that stitch later. Okay, now how are we going to turn this thing? We're just going to come back here to the opening and turn it right side out through that opening. Right there. Now let's see. There we go. Just get it turned right side out through that opening and you are done. Shake it out. Okay, there we go. Take a little pointy tool and get your corners poked out real nicely. And okay, two more. You got to get in under that back fold. One of them's easy to get to. The other one you have to go around. And you are done. And there you have it. You have your pillow right there. When you're ready to put your form in, you just slip it in one side and then pop this up over it. And it is all nice and secure. It's not going to fall out. It's not going to distort in the front because you have enough of an overlap here that it's not going to pull this way. So there you go. quick pillow from a Orphan block.